Alright, so last video we left off with a discussion about the new data structure, data type that's called lists. And I showed you how to interact with them the same way we did with the strings. So how you can index them, how you can pull specific elements out of the list if you know their index, how you can slice the list into smaller pieces. In this video we're going to be discussing some list methods which give you more control and more manipulation ways, more ways to manipulate the list. Right, similar to how there were so many for strings, there are a lot for lists as well, but we're going to be discussing the most commonly used and the most important ones. Okay, so the first one isn't a method, it's a function, and you've already seen it. It's the len. This gives you the length of the list. So len list of countries, that's just 5. Fair enough. And after that's a function, pretty easy to use. It worked on strings where it returned the number of characters in the string, and over here it returns the number of elements in your list. Next up is the index method. So let's say that this is a really huge list and I want to see where the country Japan is, what index Japan has. So I'm going to do list of countries dot index, and I want to find Japan. It has to match cases, it has to be exactly what you're looking for. I will return index 2. If it's not exactly what you were looking for, then it will return countries dot index. If I type in a lowercase Japan, then it'll say not found. Japan is not in the list, so you have to be wary of what you're looking for. And if it's like a huge list and you know that Japan is in there somewhere, then you can just search for it this way, and then you can access, and then now you know it's indexed, so you can just access it by this way. That gives you Japan. Alright, so that was the index method. Next up is the append method. Append basically means to add a new value to the end of the list. So let's say that I want another country at the end. Let's say I want Brazil. So what I'm going to do is list of countries dot append Brazil. And now if I'll take a look at list of countries, it has Brazil tagged to the end. Append always attaches your new element to the end of the list. But if you want to insert something in the middle of the list, at the start or anywhere else, and not just at the end, so you can use the insert method as the name implies. So list of countries dot insert. Now this takes 2 arguments. The arguments of a function or a method are separated by a comma, so this will take 2 arguments. So I'm going to insert at index 3 the country Germany. Alright, now if I take a look at list of countries, at index 3, that's the 4th value, I have Germany, and everything else got pushed forward. The ones before it remain unchanged. So that's the insert method. And if I want to add something to the front of the list, so I do list of countries dot insert at index 0, that's the first element. I can add in France, and now list of countries looks like this. France is at the very start. And if I want to remove something, so name there, that has a method, namely remove. List of countries dot remove France. That has removed France from the list. There is another way to remove elements from a list. It's called the pop method. And so list of countries dot pop without any arguments will remove the very last element of the list, and it will also return it. So there we have an output Brazil, and list of countries has been, and from list of countries Brazil has been removed. So if I were to set list of countries, so what this return means is that this value, I can set this expression equal to a variable, and then that variable will hold this value. So for example, country removed is equal to list of countries dot pop without any arguments. So this will remove the last element from the list and return it, and then Russia here will be stored in the country removed variable. So now if I look at country removed, it has Russia, and if I look at the list, Russia has been removed. So that's the pop method, and from pop, right now it had no arguments. If you pass in an argument, it will remove the element at that index and also return it. So list of countries dot pop 1. Let's do country removed is equal to pop 1. So now if I take a look at the list first, so whatever was at index 1, that's the second element, so USA has been removed. And if I take a look at country remove, it should store USA. Yep, so that's how it is. Another important list method is called sort, and this works, and this is mostly used on lists that have numbers in them. So list, so let's carry the list numbers, list is equal to, and I'm going to have numbers in random order, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 2.5, 3.62, 3.14, and yeah, so this is a randomly ordered list. Now if I do number list dot sort, and now if I take a look at number list, it has been sorted in ascending order. So that's what sort does. And finally, there's a method to reverse a list. So we had already seen a way to reverse a list, which was basically doing the slicing trick. So basically start from the start, end at the end, and take steps of -1. This will return a reversed list, but your original list will remain unchanged. So that still reads the sorted list. But if I were to call the reverse method on it, number list dot reverse, it didn't return anything. But if I take a look at number list now, it's been reversed. So my actual list has been reversed. This way, this didn't alter your list, it only returned a reversed copy of that list, which you could store in a variable. But the reverse method does not return a new list which has its elements reversed. It reverses the list that you call the method on. So these were some important and commonly used list methods. There's a whole bunch more that you can look up in the Python documentation, and also leave it in the course notes. So that has been the list data type, and we're going to be using it a lot more in the next section as well, but there's a bunch more still left to discuss, and we'll be getting into that in the next video.